Welcome back to the vlog of my experience with Metrocon 2016. This is part 2, where we actually talk about the convention itself, the events, my thoughts and opinions, and as usual, I will be very constructive with the criticisms I have, because there's a few, but not many. Team Dynamite rarely gives me anything to complain about. But there's a few things that we need to discuss. Now, first off, I do have my cheat sheet to make sure I don't forget anything, because there's a lot. There's a lot to cover. So this is just to help me keep track of what I did when and how everything went. If you ever want to see like what my schedule is like at Metrocon, that's what it looks like. That's like literally every hour of the convention planned out, bit by bit, item by item. And I will say at closing ceremony, Nick and Alex did say, what can we do to like, we're revamping the website. What can we do to like make this like better organized for you? Let us sort the stuff by day and time. Every year we have to go through the panel rooms individually, copy the events we want, paste them to a notepad file, and then go through all of them one by one, sort them out, and that's the only way we know where everything is at the same time, so we can decide, well, are we going to go to this or that? And that's the only way we can plan out our weekend. It takes all day to do, and it should just be as easy as, like, in the guide itself, in the guide you get when you pick up your stuff at registration, it just says there in the book. This is all the stuff that's going on at 3. This is all the stuff that's going on at 4. And if we had that right from the bat, if the website was formatted to let us see all of that, perfect. Get some, get some really good programmer who can actually program a thing to, like, auto make your schedule for you. This is like Friday at 3. These are the events that are available. Click on the one you'd like to go to. Click. These are the events at 4. Click the one you'd like to go to. Click. And then at the end, just get a print button that has all the stuff you clicked on. Pipe dream, but yeah, that's what we do every year. So first off, there were a ton of changes to just the structure and the layout. Metrocon's kind of had the same things in the same spots for a while now, and it becomes familiar. Changing it up from time to time is not a bad thing, though. For instance, this year, the guest track was back to the far side of the convention hall, where it hasn't been in a while. It's usually been in a ballroom. Now it was in a extra wide panel room. That was cool. I'm perfectly fine with that. It made me pass by the tabletop game room, which I always forget how popular the tabletop games are at Metrocon. It shouldn't surprise me because it's another brand of geekdom that's always there. But I always forget about that room completely until I happen to go by. So that was at least interesting. It let me see different stuff. The autograph room was still one of the ballrooms. That worked out fine. Special events was perfectly fine too. Didn't have any real problem with the layout. The big thing that changed was, instead of having security posted at every single door, instead of having that, okay, I have to check my, okay, I just want to, yes, here's my badge. Look, can I walk into the room now? Okay. And having to, like, present a badge at every single room. Instead, you just had certain entry points where they had to be presented. There's a cafe area where people could still congregate without a badge and see cosplays walk by and hang out with friends who are going to the convention, but they block things off so that there's 4 checkpoints throughout the entire convention hall, where when you, no, 5. I'm trying to account for like every entry point now. But yeah, and every point where you could kind of like walk into the convention hall, they had a checkpoint where it's like, where you look for your badge. And most of the time you don't even notice. You just, as long as it's facing forward and on your person, you walk by, and everything's fine. Most of the weekend I didn't even notice that my badge was being checked for. And then when it came to getting into the panel rooms, no one had to stop us and check badges, because if you made it to that point, it had already been checked. That's a good system. that actually worked really, really well. Like, I know some people had problems with it. There were some people who were complaining about that checkpoint system. From what I saw, the people who, like, the major complainers I saw of that were doing something intentionally wrong. Like we're doing something they should have been smart enough not to do. Like, not trying to be mean about it, but you're kind of doing something that would set a few alarms off. You can't do that. So, you can't blame the con for that kind of thing just because you kind of got foolish. From what I saw, the system worked. From what I saw, it worked out pretty well. I would be perfectly fine having it be like the norm from now on. I prefer a few checkpoint passes to getting my badge checked every single room I wanted to go into. And speaking of, one of the big changes again was the dealer room, which now also included the artist alley. Now, this is probably the only thing that kind of damaged a little bit, but it also had a good benefit. Usually the artist alley is set up in the just in front of the main entrance doors to the convention hall, and it's set up before any spot where you'd have to have a badge check, so general public can come in and browse the wares and see what they have. And I'm sure the vendors there and the artist alley people get a little bit more money from that, just from through traffic. Here, it was set up in the dealer room. So it's kind of cool, like everywhere you spend your money on tchotchkes was all in one room. And that's good for two reasons. Number one, all the people with spending money are now wandering around there. That's good. It's also really good because that means there's security. One of the problems with having your artist alley booths like so next to the exits is someone with really quick hands is going to take something off your table, and there's always booths that have things stolen off of them because it's impossible to keep an eye on it at all times when you've got thousands and thousands of people flooding around. You never know who just I don't know why it's going into my crotch, but it is. You always have people like that. So knowing the booths has some security to them, you might be able to get up and go to the bathroom without panicking, that's good. So ultimately, I think that's better. Ultimately, I find more good than bad about it. I don't know how Artist Alley did this year, financially, but I know, especially in Pokemon Go related stuff, I did see quite a bit of Pokemon Go related stuff that was bought from Artist Alley people. So that was cool. I bought something this year from Artist Alley. That's the one thing from the swag pile I didn't show off, and I can't see my lanyard from here that actually has it. I bought an emblem. There's a laser cut plastic emblem of my Pokemon Go team. I am Team Instinct. Don't judge me. I'm Switzerland. You have your battle. I'll be over here hatching eggs. Good. Thank you guys. I've said it before. In the war between the Fire Nation and the Water Tribe, I am an air nomad. That's how it stays. The Pokemon Go this year was amazing, by the way. Having a convention 2 weeks after this game came out was awesome. The way I described it was, you know how you play an actual Pokemon game and everyone in the entire Pokemon world, every NPC you run across, all talk about something Pokemon related, like what they do with their Pokemon, how they spend time with their Pokemon, how to battle with Pokemon, what weapons, what attacks their Pokemon use, everything is Pokemon, Pokemon, Pokemon. Don't you people have any other hobbies? Does anyone in this game just play checkers? Everyone in this world is just nothing but Pokemon. That's the only thing that exists. That was the convention. Everyone was playing. Everyone was talking about it. Everywhere I went, someone was playing. I was playing. I was walking around hatching eggs all weekend. Instinct. That's how it went. And it was that's literally what it was like. We all lived in a Pokemon world where we could all be the greatest master of them all. unless we were trying for the gym that was set up, that was outside the embassy, because that thing got attacked every time someone took it over. I think like you couldn't hold it for longer than like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes if you're lucky enough to get enough guards up. I was gym leader twice for a combined effort of about 8 minutes. But hey, I've got the screenshot to prove it, so hey, the embassy was mine. For 8 minutes, the embassy was mine. I kind of viewed Tampa as like my hyperbolic time chamber from Dragon Ball Z. It's like, because no one around here has anything that's like super strong. So it's like, I go off for a weekend, I come back like super powerful. And the second I think I can actually ride my bike without passing out, I'm wrecking everyone around here. I've got a Lapras that's just a tank now, so I'm looking forward to that. We had this one honey hole. There's a tiki bar set up out to the side of the convention hall down the Riverwalk. And if you sat in just the right spot, you were in range of 3 Pokestops at the same time. You didn't have to get up. You could spin all 3 from there, collect items, what you want, and all 3 brought in tons of Pokemon. You didn't even have time to do anything else because Pokemon were showing up so often. I caught like 80 Psyducks this weekend, and enough Magikarp to get, I think, about 70% of the way to a Gyarados. I have to find places to catch Magikarp around here now. But that was a really fun experience, just having everyone play around it, everyone talking around it. It's like everyone was living the same world just for one weekend. It was wonderful. You know, you'd end up talking to people that you never would have talked to before. And just like, it was like being back in grade school. It was like, what's your favorite color? Green. Mine too. We're best friends now. Yeah. It's that simple. Like, you're just friends because you're both playing this game now. And that's, like, I miss that simplicity, and I had that simplicity. It's like, that's so cool. And my buddy John leveled up, like, while we were sitting out there by the tiki bar. I was like, yeah, I'm Team Instinct now. And someone from the other table who was not Instinct, with total sincerity, said, congratulations on hitting level 5. Awesome. Like, that's beautiful. Beautiful. So, Pokemon Go made the weekend really fun and interesting. It's like really like legitimately living in a different world for a little while. Back to the convention itself. I didn't really have any major issues. Like, as far as I knew, registration lines went well. It was very professionally done this year. They had booths and signs and all this, and it looked really cool. There's some issues with tech. There's always issues with tech. A little bit more prevalent this year, I think. There's a bunch of... There are videos that didn't play, some timing that didn't work out, and even some props that didn't work out. Like, for some reason, every gun for firing blanks jammed on Sunday. I don't know why, but it did mess up a few spots. So, that happens. You know, live performance, you know, it goes wrong sometimes. But they did their best, and they still put on some really, really cool shows. I'm really excited to share these with you. Especially this year. Oh my god. This year just, like, catered to my soul. Also, I did want to say real quickly, thank you to everyone who came up to me. Like, I had incidents last year where it's like, hey, are you TJ? Like, no, I'm on my way to this. I'm in a hurry. It's like, I'm just gonna run. I'm gonna run. I hate doing that. So this year I made it a point. On Sunday, we got stuck waiting for an elevator in the hotel. I was really nervous that we'd be late for my interview with Richard. We got down. We were running across the convention hall. We had like 6 minutes to get to the interview room. And we're just getting up the steps to go toward the elevator, and I hear behind me, TJ, can I get a picture? And I go, sure. I'm all about this. Like, I tried to make time for everybody, and I met so many people. Like, this time it really was hard to go, you know, down a hallway without somebody saying hi or wanting a picture or a handshake or just wanting to talk for a little bit. And I was happy to do it every time. I love meeting you guys at these conventions. Like, thank you so much for making it more special for me. You know, and I hope I made it a little bit more special for you. I really do. So between all of that, I was trying to roll into something else that came into my head while I was talking about that, but I talk about you guys, and you guys distract me so much. No, no, no. This year was just like handcrafted for me. Like, it seriously was. So, see, what was the opening star event? Okay, so first major event we get to is the Metro Star Party. The Metro Star Party is like a Nintendo-based performance thing that my buddy James puts on every year. Based in Nintendo characters. So this year we had Mario and Luigi, of course. There's always a Mario in there somewhere. But we also had Samus and Fox because it was space-based. Every year it kind of has one of those kitschy little sitcom themes, and like last year it was very much a sitcom. Last year was very much a sitcom. It was a hospital one year, and then this year it was like the Enterprise, like deep space. And it was Mario being attacked by Robotnik, not Eggman, Robotnik, and a really good one too, really good. I will tell you right now, the Fox McCloud stole that show. He is hysterical in that show. And for the rest of my life, I'm gonna just be thinking sticky steps. Ooh, sticky steps. You don't know what that's about. I'll see we're there. You'll see it. You will see it. It was hilarious. Like, I want to say the previous year kind of got off to a slow build and a slow ramp up to being really, really funny. This year hit the ground running. Like, this might be my favorite Star Party James ever did. So, very good work all the way around. James gave me some Mega Man characters, some Splatoon characters. I'm like, this is my wheelhouse. This is it. That was cool. Very good job, James. I'm exceptionally happy with the Star Party. Beyond that, there was the Borderlands Assault on Metro. Okay. I have 600 hours in Borderlands 2. It's my game. It is the game I go to when I need to vent and let off some stress. I need to vent a lot sometimes. But that is like right in my wheelhouse of that's where I like my first person shooters. So like over the top, cartoony, very funny and silly. That was really cool for me. That's a really good thing. And this was like a stage acrobat show. So there's a lot of parkour demonstration and a lot of like ribbon dancing. I didn't get to see most of it. I had to just to peel back the curtain a little bit, but for good reason. The interview I had scheduled for Eric didn't make it onto his schedule, and it worked out to a really bad timing for him, which I understand, because it's like past 8 o'clock. This is like past dinner time. This was after his last panel. It's like, this is just a really bad time for the guest, you know? So, you know, but it wasn't on his schedule, so we had to rearrange that last minute. I had to leave the panel. I had to leave the Borderlands event, run down to one of the quieter rooms, talk out with Morgan, who's head of guest who's the head of guest relations, and then head back up. And in the meantime, I had to trust the camera to my friend Matthew, who is a certified lunatic. You know who you are. You know him right. If you know the Matthew I'm talking about, you know him right. I had to leave the camera to him just to keep an eye on it, make sure it didn't get hit or anything like that. So unfortunately, I have not seen the entire event. What I saw, I really enjoyed. It was a take on my favorite expansion for Borderlands, which is the what is it? Oh man. It's past 1 in the morning here. and I didn't. I had a 3-hour car ride and not much sleep beforehand. Bunkers and Badasses, like the D&D style one. It was based on that. So that was exceptionally cool, and I really want to see the rest of it. And I have to hope Matt didn't flash anything inappropriate in front of the camera just to goof with me, because he might. It wasn't on fire when I got back there, so I assume everything went fine. See, what I saw, that was great. I loved that there was a Borderlands event. After that, later that night was the superhero comedy and stunt show. Last year, it was the first year for the stunt show, and I was blown away. It was funny. The performances, particularly by their Spider-Man, who runs the Shinobi school that trained everyone in the Borderlands event. And the reason why I really want to see the rest of the Borderlands event was spectacular. This year went for something of a more Civil War theme, and we had a appearance by Batman because they were spoofing on Batman versus Superman. It's like, oh look, all the Avengers are fighting together. Yeah, we never do that. No, we don't, Superman, because you're Superman and I'm Batman. They threw in a few Sith Lords while they're at it. Kylo Ren was a big deal in this one, which is actually worked out really well. It actually had some really funny moments because of that. Yeah. I will say, like, okay. Never bet. I try to keep my keep my criticisms constructive. And I do want, because I do want Metrocon to improve. I do like I do like feeding opinions, and you know me, I try to be honest. This one was not as good as it was last year. I mean, it's still entertaining. There's some really good bits. Deadpool was great because now we had the movie stuff to work off of, and the guy really did sound like Ryan Reynolds. So when he's dropping lines from the movie, it's like, that's awesome, that's funny, that's really good. But unfortunately, the story just felt like too much of a rehash of last year, because it's the same Red Skull and Hydra, it's a slightly different spin. There are too many big melee battles and not enough, really, last year, Spider-Man and like the parkour style he was doing really stole the show because he was phenomenal. It worked super, super well. This year was mostly kind of the same vibe, mostly the same story, the same kind of pattern and things going on. I'm glad we had an Iron Man there this year in full armor, which was awesome looking. I don't know, but I was hoping for a different approach. I was hoping for like a different take of stories and a different set of heroes coming around, and they added a few. They added in like Black Panther and Captain Marvel, the female Captain Marvel, and who else? Daredevil. So they went Netflix. Did a bunch of blind jokes with him. Like, it was kind of funny, but I think it was done too much. Like, I think it kind of discredited the character and made fun of the blind a little bit too much. But yeah, it was funny for what it was. It was entertaining. I did go back to see it again. I just wish it was a little bit different from last year. I wish it had gone a little bit farther to differentiate itself. So that's all I can really say about that. It's still a good show. It's just, it felt like more of the same. That's all. Let's see. I caught the Fire Show after that. Okay. The Fire Show this year was based on Skyrim. I have 600 hours in Borderlands. I have another 400 hours in Skyrim. When Skyrim came out, it sucked my soul as if I were a dragon. I love that game. Love that world. Love the abilities I get. Love the system of the game. Love me some Skyrim. So this was right up my alley again. And guys, okay, so the Fire Show I always set as my absolute favorite is the one from Asylum. The best convention nobody went to. But this Fire Show, this might have topped it. Because aside from the fire dancing being really good, the music was big and booming and epic. Aside from all that, the finale was incredible. They made a dragon! And I don't just mean like a big prop. I mean like, it was a big prop. Of course it was a big prop. But this thing had like expanding wings. This thing had like an articulated head and neck. There was a guy behind there that could steer and direct it. It had a permanent flame in its mouth. And the guy controlling this could blast fire breath so hard that even with the added distance of like getting the mist to the flame, it still managed to make the biggest plumes of flame out of anyone in the cast. It looked like a proper dragon flame, and it was epic and awesome. And you have like flame breaths going up in beat to the music. Like, oh my god, this was incredible. This was an awesome show. This probably would overtake the horror-themed Asylum Fire Show as my favorite. Again, a show I went to twice. What after that? Metro Night Live. This one made me happy because I didn't make it to the last one. Last year was the first time they did Metro Night Live. I was unconscious. Because normally at these things, by 11 o'clock, I'm dead. Normally, like, I get done with the fire show and I'm like, I want to go to bed. And I'm asleep on my way to the hotel and just dragging myself by just one arm that's still just barely awake. Just dragging myself back across the sky bridge. Get back to the hotel. Get back to my bed. No, I'm glad I stayed up for this. Because I had friends in the cast and I didn't want to miss it. And I was told, hey, I'm throwing something in that you might recognize. Like, I have to go watch it now. Yes, Derek, I recognized it. That was a great little thing to throw in. Thank you very much. I'm glad I stayed up for it. This is like late night sketch show stuff. And a lot of the sketches are taken directly from the Saturday Night Live, Mad TV, and those kind of shows. But done with a video game and anime take on everything. So, like you have like the what is it? Like the parrot sketch from Monty Python. You have a Pokemon version of that, and you'd think it's just, oh well, it's the same joke but with like a chatot instead of a parrot. No, there's actually a lot of situational changes just because the characters are there. Just because of certain characters in the world they inhabit. There was also one thing that, there was another really famous sketch that's seen online that I've seen recreated with a particular cast of video game characters digitally. They did it on stage. And it was still really funny. It's one of the bits I don't really get tired of. So that was cool too. That was cool too. Again, you don't think it would change enough to really like get new laughs out of you? It does. It does. It actually does. So that was actually a really cool show. I'm really happy I caught it this year. So that was all Thursday night. Like a lot of this is like they ran the same show more than once. Let's see what came after that. There was Rythm City, but I didn't see that on Friday, so I'm trying to keep it to like the stuff I saw on one day. Oh, Friday was the Fantasy Masquerade. Now, as press, I don't have to dress up, but me and Danielle do like to play along. You know, even though neither of us can dance a lick, and we really don't want to dance. We bring some fancy outfits and we put them on. We have masks that we bring, and we go and fit in. You know, we just go and like play along. So like it's the one time I get to break out the Kaito cosplay anymore because it's like one of the most formal things I have. Okay, so the storylines for the Fantasy Masquerade always revolve more around the romantic side of story, romantic side of fiction, and more dramatic. So it's not all sunshine and rainbows, happy ending stuff at the Fantasy Masquerade. But there's tragedy, there's love, it's very Shakespearean. This year's theme was Power Rangers meets Sailor Moon. And by that I mean Season 3 era White Ranger, Black Ranger, Blue Ranger, so Tommy, Adam, Billy, meet Moon, Mercury, and Mars. So, you know, Amy, Ray, and Usagi. Because I think they're going for like the crystal versions, so let's get the accurate names in there. And they actually make good parallels with each other. Like, Tommy and Usagi felt kind of forced. Especially because, well, that's another reason why it's Season 3 Tommy, because there's this gap in his, like, dating life that this could actually work with. But Billy and Amy play off of each other really, really well. And you really, really get behind those characters in the course of this. And then you have another two, like Adam and Ray, who you wouldn't think would work as well. They do. They really, really do. And it's their story I kind of liked a lot better, you know. And there's death, there's loss, there's love, there's all this kind of things going on, and and in between there's dance segments and all this. And it's a really fun time. It's a really different experience from the other shows. And this one actually had, like, the last time I went to the Fantasy Masquerade, the skits were more comedy based, like more situational comedy. This time, because it's Power Rangers and Sailor Moon, there's more action involved. I got to see the Lord Zed from a couple of years back, I think now. He was in there. That was really cool to see Zed at Metrocon again. And I know, it put on a good show. It told an interesting story. And there's different things. There was some there's like some scarf acrobatics. There was shadow dancing. I really like well done shadow dancing is beautiful. So I really liked seeing some of that done as well. It's something that brought more variety, because like when you see like highlight packages of past Metrocons, there's always like ribbon dancing. And when I say ribbon dancing, I mean like the acrobatic kind where there's like two gigantic sheets or curtains hanging from the ceiling, and they're like pulling themselves up and flipping and spinning and dancing around those. That's what I mean. Not like the ribbon dancing of like stick, long ribbon. Not that. Thank God I'm not popular enough to gift that. Just me freaking out. So that one was fun to go to, and they play some great music there too. See what else happened. So that the only thing Friday, because that's when I went back to the fire show again. They had to move it underneath in a much more enclosed space because it was raining. You can't have a fire show in the rain. Kudos and bravo to the staff for still producing an extremely well-produced and well-performed fire show in much more constrained conditions. So that was actually very commendable on your part. They had panels in there in that day too, like the first Richard Ian Cox and Kirby Morrow panel was supposed to go on that day. Only Kirby was there, and I felt horrible because there was barely anyone in the room, and he's just kind of like egging people on for questions. Like, what'd you have for breakfast? Anything, go on, I'm dying up here. It's still a fun panel. There's still some good stories out of it that I want to post up. So that'll be in the highlight reel. Let's see, Saturday. Saturday was the first for the original anime Human Chess Match. Oh my god, the chess match this year. So the chess match every year pits the theme of Metrocon against each other. The theme this year was order versus chaos. And they tell you this a year in advance. They tell you what the theme is going to be for the next year. And when they mention chaos, my mind immediately goes to my favorite villain of them all. My absolute favorite video game villain, anything villain, Kefka. Because when I think of chaos, I think there's no one I know of that embodies chaos more. I mean, at least even the Joker has a goal. Kill Batman, take over Gotham City. Maybe he just wants to burn the place down. Maybe he wants to rob money. Rob money from everywhere. Depends on the Joker, because there's a few of them these days. So there's that, but Kefka literally just wants the entire world to be in pain. Kefka just really wants everything he can see destroyed. And he has the power to do it. That's chaos. That's chaos incarnate. And then chaos on a biblical power level. That's like I wouldn't have accepted it if Kefka was not in this chess match. And he wasn't in the match. He was overseer on the chaos side. This is the first time I've seen where the two sides of the chessboard, the kings weren't the ones completely in control. You had these two like cosmic level beings in Kefka and Oren, who's been around in the Metrocon chess matches previously, representing order. So like they were the really ones kind of betting on which side was going to win. And true to the theme, chaotic. The black side, the black side of the board could not keep a king alive. But worked out for the best because great things happen. This is where I'll do like spoiler alert because this is stuff I really do kind of want to get into a little bit. So the White King was Phoenix Wright, who has been the best cameos in all the previous 2 or 3 chess matches. Love seeing Phoenix because he does such a good job at it, and it's funny every time. This time he actually plays the White King. He has a fight scene for the first time, and it's a really good one. There's a lot of cameo stuff. There's a lot of surprises in the chess match. There's a sudden appearance by One Punch Man that was perfectly done. Perfectly executed. Bravo to that. Set up a villain that would take One Punch Man to beat, because nothing's killing this guy. Run him through the lightsaber 20 times. He's still standing like nothing happened to him. Oh, here comes Saitama. Boom! Gone. Perfect. Perfect. So that was cool. The Black King kept jumping. First it was the villain. I can't remember his name. It was the villain from... Oh God, what's the anime? It's late. I can't remember. Brain not think good. Soul Eater. Jeez. Sorry. Yeah, it was the main villain from Soul Eater. Is the Black King at first. He dies really quickly and gets taken over by Gangplank from League of Legends, who is hysterical. He's absolutely hysterical. And then gets replaced by Alice from the video game series of Alice. And this was in her lunatic Red Queen phase, and she is viciously efficient. But it turns out she was in cahoots with the one who ended up taking over the chess match, the Joker, who was actually played by Terry, who does a lot of the major characters in the chess matches over the years. Does a great job every time. He was such a good Joker. He sounded like Hamill, and just such good delivery on the lines. Just really got the role right. Really got the role right. I kind of wanted to see him with a crowbar as a weapon more often. A little bit of Jason Todd for you, just because that's his signature. But other than that, great Joker. I love that the Black Queen, the Red Queen, I'm sorry, Alice, ended up kind of being his Harley Quinn. If she had called him Puddin', that would be like the icing on the cake. That'd be the pudding on the cake. That didn't happen, but just as well. Still really good. It was a really cool dichotomy to put on. So, and like, twist of all twists, the villains win. The good guys die. Everyone fails. You lose. Good day, sir. But is it a twist? Because the one in charge of this is Kefka. That's the point of Kefka. Kefka wins. Kefka forces you to face crippling loss and complete and utter despair. The total absence of hope. That's all. That is what Kefka is about. And that is the whole purpose of Kefka's villain in Final Fantasy VI, is to make you face defeat. Because no video game wants you to lose. You're supposed to not lose. Kefka makes you lose. And Kefka made them lose. And I got to see my two favorite psychotic clowns on stage together. It was beautiful, and they were both played so good. I found out later the guy playing Kefka was also Billy in the Fantasy Masquerade. Nerdy Billy falling in love with Amy from the Sailor Scouts was also Kefka, and he was perfect in both roles. I couldn't put it together, and I've been waiting 9 years. This is my 9th Metrocon, and I've waited 9 years to see Kefka in the Chessmatch, and now that I see him, I find out he's played by a guy named Tyler. Is that what they call serendipity? I don't know. I call it weird. It was awesome. It was weird. So I finally got to see Kefka in the chess match. That was great. That was absolutely wonderful. And, yeah, the chess match itself was great. The choreography was good. The storytelling was good. There's still, like, a lot of character. Like, I'm still, like, every year I'm like, who's that character? Because I don't play League of Legends. I had to look up Gangplank. Yeah, but there's still enough familiarity. You know, Yang from Ruby was there. There's a few other things that were in there that I still recognize. So, yeah. Of course, Kefka. Especially after last year where, like, Final Fantasy VI characters kept dying. Okay, so yeah. Thank you guys for that. Thank you very much for that. That made my day. That made my whole weekend. Just to get to see Kefka. The second day, I had to sit on the other side of the stage just so I could sit closer to Kefka, because I wanted to see the mannerisms up close. Still so good. Okay. One thing I didn't get to see all of because I had a panel opposite of it. The AMV contest. Now, going into this year, I thought my participation in it would be a little bit different, because one of the things that I was hoping for and shooting for from last year was I wanted to be the host. Because I always thought if I was going to be involved in anything Metrocon related, AMVs would probably be the best bet. I mean, aside from the fact I've won the best in show there in the past, it's what I do. Videos are what I do. So I was always thinking, like, okay, if that ever becomes available, that's the role. That's what I want to do. You say there's a lot of, like, there's a lot of miscommunication on all fronts, so it didn't actually happen. But it turned out to be for the best. It turned out to be for the best. But there was also a lot of stuff about the AMVs last year, because I don't think it's a secret AMVs last year was kind of messy. The show went way too long. It gave out way too many awards, and I think it was just kind of uncomfortable just to have it be listed as like an hour and a half thing and go on for like 2.5 hours. This year, the program all listed it as a 2-hour event. I had a panel to get to at 5, and I got to the panel at 5, so I'm pretty sure they finished on time. Was the panel? Oh, right. Yeah, because I forgot on Saturday they had to add an Inuyasha panel to make up for the one they didn't get to have the day before. Okay, so yeah, I had a panel at 5, and I made it to that panel, so they did finish on time. So, that's good. I wasn't there for all of it. I just kind of, like, on my way to the panel room, I jumped in during the last few awards, the last few videos, and what I saw, I really liked. I saw the best action category was not split into best male, best female like I feared. Drama was, so I'm going to assume drama had a lot of entries. The thing I never like, I will always prefer simple categories, because I always feel like if you tell contestants, well, we're going to split it to male and female. best male video, best female video. Aside from the guidelines not being, aside from like, I don't like being like, we may do that, we may not. I prefer just set it in stone if you're going to do that or not. That way, the contestants know what they're getting into. I know, like, I would prefer, what am I trying to think of here? God, it's getting late. I would prefer, like, simple categories that were more open, because I feel like if I have to skew a video idea to the male side to fit into one of the categories, I don't I think that it might detract from what I was going for. And so I think it can be a little bit creatively limiting. But I also understand that if you get a ton of entries for a particular category, it might be necessary just to make sure that it's fairly out, because you could have two that are very close to each other. I will say, if you're gonna do that, it needs to be laid out how they are split up, because it can be done by tone of the show, it can be done by the original category of the show, the characters it focuses on, tone of the video. It could even be the gender of the participants who entered the video. So, going into next year, I'd just like to see it a little bit more clearly laid out and a little bit more set in stone whether it's going to happen that way or not. Just so the editors know what they're getting into completely and know what they're shooting for. That's all. It's a preferential thing. They're doing what I prefer it this way, they prefer it that way. Neither one is wrong. They just have different goals in mind, is all. But what I saw was really good. The performers, I'm going to cheat here really quick because I have a quick way of cheating. The presenters that were actually giving out the awards were done up as Nora and Ren from Ruby, and they were in character the whole time. And this is so much better than just someone going up there and reading a list of names. It's so much better. I like when the performers, I keep calling them performers because they were performing, and that's good. It's better than a presenter that just goes up there and just reads whatever the list tells them to read. Interjecting that personality into it is great. I would love to see a little bit more time given, because they started getting into a little bit of shtick, a little bit of character scene, which I would have really liked to see more of. Have that be part of the show rather than just this intermission between videos. Let them have big introductions for categories. Let them have prepared jokes and material that they can go through. Let it be a performance as well as a presentation, so they are part of the show rather than just the conductor for it. But they did show a lot more personality. That's really good. Something I loved. I absolutely loved this. When the winner's name was announced, it was put up on the big screens. The name of the video and the name of the category they won and their name. Great. I love that recognition. What I loved the most, what I really liked the most, was the category was announced, the winning video was played, and then the winning editor's name was announced. And I like that, because that means when you announce that editor to come up and accept their award, the applause they get is for them specifically. Because the people know what they're cheering for, because they just saw the video. So that applause is just for them and what they accomplished. And that is so much more gratifying to them, and it celebrates them so much more than the old method, which was, here's the category, this was the winning this is the winning video and the winning editor, and everyone applauds, and I'm like, you haven't seen the video yet. What are you applauding for? It could suck. You don't know. I love giving the editor an applause of their own. That's great. If I had taken that role, that's the first thing I would have done. That's good. That's a great change. Stick to it. Okay, so I know I've been very critical of the AMVs last year, and I do still think there's improving and polishing that can be done. But Natalie, you did great. It is you've really stepped it up. It's a much cleaner production, and it was far more enjoyable. I wish I could have been there for the whole thing. I really do. So that's the AMVs, which, just to clarify, I have intentionally removed myself from that pool because I don't think it's fair of me to participate anymore. You know what? I have my trophy. I'm kind of a professional, so maybe this isn't fair of me to enter. So I kind of removed myself. That's kind of why I wanted to host, because I still wanted to be involved, but I didn't want to participate because I do this all the time. You know. Okay, so I didn't see much of that. There was a panel, like a normal panel. Like, there's so many like fan-run panels that I never make it to because I'm so trying to get my autographs, trying to get to voice actor panels, trying to get to the main events and all that. There's always, there's very few normal panels I get to see. There was a Whose Line Is It Anyway skit that I didn't get to. There was a Whose Line Is It Anime that's an annual event at Metrocon. Didn't get to that at all. I hate that. It's like one of the only special events I didn't get to. And I haven't been able to get to it for a long time now. That's upsetting. But one of the panels I really liked, I did last year, and I really wanted to do it this year, was the silicone class, silicone mold class. I had my idea for it, and this year they were going to let you play with resin. Like, I still have the mold I made last year, but this year they're also going to give you the resin so you could make something on the spot out of the mold you just created. I'm like, yeah, I want to do that. And we got there, we sat down, we were like super excited because Danielle wanted to do it this year too, and like, okay, this is going to be really fun because it's okay. And they get up to the stage and go, we're out of silicone. Why? Well, we brought as much as we could afford and we ran out in the first panel. Well, I'm sorry, but there's people who couldn't make it to your first panel and they plan to go to your second panel. Like, wouldn't you go, well, we have 2 panels, so we're going to have this much silicone for this panel, this much silicone for this panel, and make sure both could be, like, make sure you could participate in both. Not because, like, because you're trying to make sure everyone who went to the first panel gets to have the silicone and play with it and actually experience it. But that means you're depriving anyone who had to go with the second panel. I had to go to the second panel because I had so much conflicting. I had the Fire Show and Metro Night Live and all this kind of stuff conflicting with the first panel for silicone. So I had to go to the second one. Wouldn't you go like, oh, here's $100 worth of material, first come, first serve, because we have to make sure we have silicone for the next panel. If only because if you have that panel time, you don't want to waste people's time by having nothing, and you don't want to cripple your own presentation by doing something that would ensure that your next panel is not going to have the material and the content that you originally planned for it to have. At the very least, if you have like some people working with the silicone in the second panel, at least others can observe it. At least other people can see what is going on, even if they do not get to directly do it themselves. And at least you have purpose for talking about it and demonstrating it that you don't have the ability to do if you let yourself run out. So it's just like there's a level of preparation and a level of foresight that was not taken into account for that panel. That was really upsetting because I had a really cool plan for what I wanted to do, and I wanted to play with the resin. I wanted there were little, like, I was gonna make props on the spot out of the resin, and I didn't get to do that. So yeah, I think the only thing after that, because we went to the chess match again. So I went to the Fire Show twice. I went to the chess match twice. Went to the Superhero Stunt Show twice. You know, most times I've doubled up on shows in a long time. I wish I could have gone to the Star Party twice again, too. Just because I know they kind of change up the jokes from one performance to the other, but what was against that? Oh, yeah. Not Dying from Starvation was against that. No, what was against that? Where is it? It was on Saturday. Metro Star Party. All right, the Inuyasha panel, because I couldn't get Richard in another panel any other way. See, the last big event was Rythm City Chronicles. So Rythm City Chronicles is the choreographed dance show, which they have some incredible dancers, break dancers, some more classic style dancing. Really interesting stuff. It's a very different performance at Metrocon. No combat involved or anything like that. So it's a very different vibe, and they do a really good job putting on the show. And this year was about Ranma and Akane from Ranma 1/2 breaking into what was essentially an insane asylum to figure out why people in Rythm City, could randomly no longer dance. And it was a weird one. It was a really weird one. So you had like Tiny Tina and Krieg, the psycho from Borderlands 2, as inmates. Their performers were spot on. They were hysterical to watch. That was great. They had Chell, who was talking to a potato for the whole time. So, kind of crazy, but then again, we know it's GLaDOS, so she really is talking to the potato. I will admit, this is where we kind of hit a lot of anime characters. I don't know who that is. But the dancing was really good. It was a good variety of dancing. If I have any kind of criticisms about that, the story just kind of stops. Like, that was really weird. Like, the story just kind of abruptly halts. Like, there's no real... Like, you figure out why people in Rythm City are losing their ability to dance. But beyond that, they don't actually give you an ending, because Ranma and Akane gets stuck in there. Chell gets stuck in there. They don't escape. There's like no resolution of like how our heroes manage to get out of the insane asylum. And the last bit was like a jump rope routine, which is a really iffy thing, because it's one of those things where it's like if you're just a little bit off, or the jump rope wielders are a little bit off, you kind of blow the whole performance. And they kind of did. They kind of tripped up a couple times. It's like something I would do for intermission, which, by the way, the intermission stuff was hilarious, because they black everything out so they can change the set, and they had like glow-in-the-dark stuff. Like, they had a loading bar, which is such a simple gag, but it was hysterical. And they did a bunch of weird stuff during intermissions with glow, and it was a really clever way of filling the scene change time. So bravo to you. That was good. They kind of did the same thing at Metro Night Live. They would cut to Wario and Waluigi, who are doing the old guys from the Muppets, as like criticizing the show, heckling. So I like when the shows have some way of bridging that gap when they have to start changing the set and turning off the lights. Really clever. But yeah, the show just kind of stops. It's like, yeah, we figured out why they're losing their ability to dance, but we're still stuck in the asylum. Here's this jump rope number, and then this one little non sequitur gag at the end, and that's it. Like, I was expecting like one more dance number as like the resolution, and then the director just came up and said, "Did you like the show? It's over? That's where it stops? Really? Sure. Wait, why not?" I would prefer to have just like a little bit of a conclusion. That's all. Like it just kind of felt like it went on, and then it stopped. I will still say the performance was really good. The one behind the whole thing was Tannis from Borderlands, who was already like in Borderlands, she is like the benchmark for insanity. And played by my friend Kalina, who was Medusa in the previous chess match, and was fantastic. She was fantastic as Medusa from Soul Eater. Brilliantly cast, brilliantly performed. And she was amazing as Tannis as well. Like, she was so good as Tannis. She even sounded like Tannis. And she took the role because she's 7 months pregnant, so, like, maybe not the chess match this year where we're swinging around metal swords at everybody. But despite that, and they even worked it into the script, which I thought was brilliant. Still performed a really good dance number. Dance number for 2. So that was really cool, too. Again, really, really well performed. I just wish the show had an ending. I want to... Where's the denouement? Where's the epilogue? Where's the wrap-up? It was just... I don't know, that just kind of made it weird. I think that's pretty much everything for the shows, the special events, the main events. God, what a year. I will say, one of the funniest things, and it shouldn't be funny, I said in the first part of this vlog, like, if you want to know how this happened. So, the running gag of the whole thing was the John Cena meme, which was done by my friend Ariel. And he showed up at the Masquerade Ball. He showed up at Star Party. He showed up at closing ceremonies. He showed up 4 times during the chess match. Like, as soon as the character gave him an opening, like, his name is, my name is, like, one of those kind of, like, openings, just like the meme. John Cena and his music would hit. They'd play his Titantron on the screens. Ariel would come out in full John Cena gear, and just like John Cena, he'd start throwing all the merchandise he's wearing out to the crowd. Throw the hat, like, throw the towel, like, everything. I want to know how much this joke cost, Alex. Alex, Nick, someone who knows the book, tell me how much it cost to buy all the Cena merchandise that Ariel spent the whole weekend throwing to the crowd. I want to know. I'm intensely curious. Oh, it was funny, though. By my count, through all the shows, and all the shows that did multiple performances, I think he had to do this bit 14 times. It's not just like running the joke into the ground. This is like taking the joke by the throat and beating it into the skull until there's nothing left. Just bring it down, stomp it into the ground. I don't know why. It shouldn't be funny after I've seen it 5 times. It was still funny. The overuse of it became the joke. They tried to bring out the mascots at closing ceremonies, and John Cena's music hits. There he comes out. It was really good. Really good. Hang on. Okay, yeah. Throat running dry. Been talking a long time. Jeez. I didn't want this to go over an hour, but there's so much to talk about for Metrocon in 4 days. I will say about the mascots too. I think when you put the theme Order versus Chaos, you naturally expect Chaos at an anime convention to be far more popular, and they were. I also think it's because Order really didn't play their parts up well enough. You can be really, like, super cheesy, like Uber Paladin, kind of funny with the Order side of things. You know, like, very much like the Tick. The Tick is very much Order, but he's very funny Order. I don't think they hammed it up enough on the Order side, so that kind of felt lacking, because the Chaos guys were the Chaos mascots were way into what they were doing. You could tell they were just like way more out there, like way more into the roles and playing it up correctly. They tried to get a chant going. There was a Chaos chant springing up, and then Order got in the microphone, Order, Order, and they start to change a few people who are just kind of doing it just to play along, and then Chaos, chaos, and the chaos chant came back, and that gave way to Cena, Cena. Hey, Cena got a good chant somewhere. It was a funny gag. Don't do it again. I'm so tired of John Cena. I'm thrilled that I got one of the towels though. That made my day. Closing ceremonies was also fun because they did a raffle for the first time. They're doing a raffle to raise money for the victims of the Pulse shooting in Orlando. So I was happy to throw $50 into that. I'm kind of bummed I didn't get anything from the prizes because they're like raffling off old weapons and props from previous years. And one of the things they had was like the cloak and shoulder pauldrons from a Lena Inverse costume they did for 2007. The year before I started going to Metrocon. Of course, that's when my favorite anime character ends up in the chess match. But me and Danielle have always talked about doing Lena and Gowry as a cosplay for Metrocon because we both kind of have the appropriate hair. I need a little bit of bleach in mind to get the Gowry blonde, but she's got the red going. So like doable. But the shoulder pauldrons were the hardest part. I mean, we were both kind of going, wouldn't it be the coolest thing to actually do a Lena Inverse cosplay one year with a piece that was actually Metrocon made? But that didn't happen. There's one guy who bought so many tickets he got 3 of them. He bought the Casey Jones mask that was like my number 2, and you know why, Nick? Because I still think that's the funniest thing I've seen on stage. Oh man, but yeah, everything was like, again, so much kind of went wrong with this Metrocon. You know, Scott had to cancel. It was booked against San Diego Comic-Con. Richard was a day late. There was a lot working against this one. And they still put on a stellar show. An absolutely amazing weekend. I had so much fun. So much going on. It might just be because this year was so attuned to all of my favorite stuff. I got to see Borderlands. I got to see Skyrim. I got to see Kefka, finally. Next year's theme is Faithful versus Fallen. With Kefka around, I was hoping for like Hope versus Despair. Kind of like the Monsters versus Hunters theme that was done a few years, way back. But it's an interesting one. Please bring back Kefka. I want more. So, yeah. All in all, fantastic weekend. Exhausting weekend, but in a really good way. It's an where I'm kind of like proud of how exhausted I am because there was so much to do. They had a rough time. They pulled it out great. Next year is not till the first month of August, or the first month of August. I gotta wrap this up soon, or I'll be talking. I'll be on the ceiling soon. So yeah, that's going to be a long wait. It's going to be a really long wait. Metrocon is always one of those experiences where it's like, I wait so long. It seems like it takes so long for it to come around, and it's so much fun while I'm there. Like, and then Monday comes around, like closing ceremonies on Sunday comes around, more specifically. I'm like, it's all over. Like, it feels like I wait forever for it to get there, and once it's over, it feels like it was just a flash. I want it to keep going. I want it to be there all the time, especially because there's so many friends I have there that I only get to see once a year. Like, I need to make it up to Tampa just to hang out with people again. But once again, to anyone from Metrocon watching, thank you guys again. Like, you did a fantastic job. I will, there's some wind taken out of the sails because Scott wasn't there. I sincerely thought I would miss a Metrocon before he did. But, I think you did a good job picking it up and recovering and, picking up the ball and running with it. because it was still an outstanding show. Everyone I was talking to and interacting with was having fun. Yeah, I was absolutely satisfied. You know, and I'm excited to go back next year, do it all again, get into even more chaos, even if the theme is not chaos. So, thank you guys again. You always make me feel like family. You always make me feel like that is home. And to me, that is home. Like, I leave one home to go to my other. And then I have to do the same thing coming back here. You know, and it's heartbreaking because I would love to be there all the time. I'd love to be a part of that, you know, as much as I can. But it has to end. I have to wait for it to come around again. And it is always worth the wait. So until then, I've got a ton of videos to edit. The One Punch Man panel comes first. Then comes the interview with Eric Stewart. I want to get those things up really quickly. And depending on how fast I can work things together, I've got, you know, way too much footage to comb through to get everything figured out and how I'm actually going to arrange all of it into the highlight reel for the year. But I want to get it up as soon as possible this time, because if I can spend a whole month abridging a video, I can spend the time to get all this stuff up as soon as I can. So watch out for it. There's a ton of it on the way. Thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna go to sleep now. I need this. My bed's right here, and I need it so bad. All right. So from Metrocon people, thank you once again. Thank you again for an amazing year. For my fans out there, stay tuned. A ton of stuff is coming out. And for everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking up for me. Thank you for the people who came up to say hi. There were so many of you this year. Thank you for making it special. Thank you to my eBay buyers for helping me afford the trip this year. Everyone made it more special. Everyone made it an incredible experience. So I will show you what that experience was like very, very shortly. So farewell, everyone.